This will be a good one.
It's gonna be a good one.
Definitely a different type of process.
Cut down or freeze up.
Being a coach's son.
Jackson, of course, they keep retooling. One stolen base, a hit by pitch. Oh my goodness. Hello everyone, welcome into the Hitting Zone podcast. Yes, you're correct. I'm not Mitch Thomas. My name's Brian French. I'm sitting in for Mitch Thomas today on his Hitting Zone project because he had a personal deal he had to get taken care of. But hey, remember, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button. Follow Mitch on all his socials. You can go check him out. I think, Lauren, what's the one, the MASH Factory or something like that? I know he does some. Yeah, look up Mitch Thomas on socials. Go follow Mitch. Check out the Hitting Zone podcast every week. We appreciate what he's doing here. But today we're out here at Center St. Louis. We're with the Southside Prospects, and I have to my left the director of the youth program, and I'm going to let Josh give you his last name. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Terramagra. I'm the youth director for the Southside Prospects.
How do you pronounce that again, bro?
Terramagra.
Terramagra. Okay, I can do that. Terramagra. That's an interesting. I've never heard that last name before.
It's not a common one.
So we're here. We're coming out today. We're getting ready to see some of these kids through the day here working out. Talk to us about the youth program. How long has it been going on?
The youth program's they've been going around for a while now. I believe mid to early 2000s for the Prospects. We're part of the St. Louis Prospects, so
right.
We're all under the same umbrella. Now that I'm in charge, I've kind of noticed from coming from the high school scene that some of these kids are just getting up to the high school ball and they don't always have the right fundamentals. They're coming in, sometimes they don't know how to play catch. Sometimes the way they're standing in the box is just a little weird. So we're trying to get back to teaching the kids the fundamentals of setting them up for success.
Right.
So whenever they get to the high school level, they don't look as awkward or they're not as timid going to the big club tryout or their high school tryout.
So talk to us a little bit about how many teams you guys got in your youth program. Is it all age groups as well?
Yes, we have from 6U, from youth, all the way up to 14U right now. This year we'll have 6U, 7U, 211s, 212s, 13, and the 14U.
Very good, very good. So that's a pretty good group in there. Was it 12s and 13s? You got two teams in there, right? Very good. So talk to us about your approach with 6 and 7-year-olds. 6 and
7-year-olds, that's just teaching them the basics, how to feel.
Just
the ball,
try and herd them around.
making sure they can listen. That one's a little more creative. Sometimes you got to do stuff that's a little more creative just to keep them interested in the practice. Fielding ground balls isn't really going to work. You're going to lose interest, and you got to make sure everyone's involved at once. So it's going back to teaching them fundamentals, just set them up for success. How should the glove be? Do you go to a ground ball like this, or do you go to a ground ball like this? Mm-hmm. I mean, teaching them the right way to put their gloves, teach them how to play catch properly, and where to be on the field.
So you talk, when you're looking at drills at a 6 and 7-year-old, and you setting up practice, and I'm sure you got some dad coaches that work with you in this respect. Are you involved in that part of it, in helping develop some of those practices for those dads?
I'm there wherever they need me. If some of these dads are coming from D1, and some of these dads are just dad coaches, right?
Yeah.
So the higher level dads, they don't really need my help, but if they do, then I'll spit out some ideas that are more fun for the youth kids. Like one of them is to come after a fly ball. How do you approach it? Well, we put their hat in their mouth, and they catch that fly ball with a little foam ball, and so now their head's behind the ball, and they're putting their feet in the right spot and their body in the right spot.
See, this is something that I always thought was interesting. When 6 and 7, you always say, "Oh, the ball doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Rub some dirt on, whatnot." I always hated that approach with 6 and 7-year-olds because if they get hit, then it's all of a sudden like that hurt.
Yeah.
And then it's like, Coach lied to me. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a trust thing. I used to, when the kids were 7, 8 years old, I always took a baseball and I would hand it to them and say, okay, feel it. I'd hand it around, you hand the next guy, feel it. It's hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, yeah, it's hard. If it hits you, it'll hurt. So that's why we have a glove.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's a smart approach, because I think sometimes we take away that opportunity to learn, hey, this is why we want to catch it. We don't want to get hit in the nose. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I think those are small things with 6, 7, 8-year-olds that I think we need to make sure that they understand there's a trust factor with the coaches, correct?
Yeah.
I think so. That's me personally.
I would agree.
But that's what I always thought was interesting. Here, feel that. It's hard. It'll hurt. Just rubbing dirt on it. Mom might have to come over and soothe you, right?
Right.
But let's talk a little bit then, from that next 9, 10, 11, when you're getting into that, where does the practices start to go? How do you set yourself in motion from there?
I'd say at 11 is when we start to approach the high school stages. Not really a high school practice, but teaching them the things that a high school coach is going to be looking for. So when you're 5 and up, I feel like you're taught funneling.
Yeah.
Well, these days you're not taught funneling. You go to a college tryout and they'll give you a bad grade for funneling. Taught coming through. So it's starting to.
So coming through instead of funneling.
Coming through.
What's the difference between the two?
When you're funneling, you're coming back, and if you miss that ball, you tip that ball, it's going to go straight between your legs. When you're coming through it, you miss that ball, you tip it, well, it's going to be right in front of you.
Sure.
So then they can still make the play. And at college,
which one do you prefer?
Me, I prefer teaching them coming through.
Do you?
That's what I was taught coming up through the ranks, and that's what I prefer teaching them. Just
a philosophy, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That and footwork. That's when we get big into footwork, starting to teach them how do you approach the ball, how do you get behind the ball, how do you round the ball, how do you touch second base. We start incorporating more footwork and just slowly start working our way up to how it will look when they get to high school. So whenever they hit the high school level, they know what to expect.
Gotcha. So, and that reminds me, 9, 10, 11, we got Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. Make sure you check our partners. They are our partners with the Winter Workout Tour. Game7baseball.com. Make sure you check it out. Tournaments are still available. We have 1 slot left. I know I got some invites. I got an invite for you guys.
Oh, yeah?
Your 14U. Yeah. You got a 14U team needs it. We got 1 slot left in our Super 7 Invitational.
Okay.
If you want in, man. We got great teams in there. We got 23 now. We got 1 more slot left.
Giving them thumbs up.
We got 1 slot left. So, but remember, game7baseball.com. I'm going to take this right here because I think it's interesting, when you talk about the footwork, the drills. What's the difference then when you start taking the difference in the drills from that 8, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, and 11, 12, 13? Is it really that big a drastic of a jump, you think?
I feel like it is because whenever you're at the 6, 7, 8, if you get too advanced, that's when they get lost.
Gotcha.
That's when they're not understanding. So if you teach them a little slower, dumbing it down for them. I hate to say it that way, but it's the way it's coming out right now. But
right.
You slow it down for them, and then you start to get a little more incorporated. So the older they get, they just start remembering more, and they're more.
Do you use a lot of the language you want them to understand at 6, 7, and 8? Even if they're not getting it, do you use the same language as you would with an 11, 12, and 13-year-old?
I think that depends on the player. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, when you're talking to a player, you can see in their face and the way they respond to you if they're understanding what you're getting at. So some of them, you can talk to them with a little more baseball science lingo. The others, you gotta break it down. Maybe tell them the alligator. Tell them. It depends on the player, if you ask me.
Because I always think it's interesting because as the kids are growing up through a program, you have a basic philosophy of how you want to teach these kids. It's just in the what you said with the glove, you're come through rather than funneling, and understanding that language and starting to say those things as they grow up, even if maybe they don't get it, and you go back to, hey, come through, think alligator,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So I would say I am saying funneling and coming through. I'm saying those types of things to them, and if they don't understand it, and then yeah, that's when I would break it down a little bit and be like, yeah, we're doing the alligator here, and instead of
it's still
whatever.
the same concept,
Right.
It's just understanding how they
Yeah.
see it in their head, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So when you get to the kids in who are we going to see today out here?
I believe we will see the 6 and 7U teams today.
So we're going to have that.
So
Little
you will
guys,
see
right,
the
right.
little guys. You will get to see our program head, Eric. He runs the 6U team, so he takes care of the 6U and 7U, and you get to see how they go at their workouts.
Absolutely.
And then I think you'll also get to see, I think we have 17 and 18U
Some
coming
high
in
school
as well.
kids. Very good.
So we have them all coming in for you guys.
What got you into baseball? Why are you doing this?
Baseball, I mean, I fell in love with it at an early age. My parents gave me a ball and a bat when I could start walking, and I started swinging it and fell in love with it from then. And over the years, with my career going from high level club teams, college, high school, I picked up a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one day I had to hang up my cleats, and unfortunately, I had to hang up my cleats not for a reason that I wanted to, but college is expensive, and if you don't have full rides, or maybe you're not at D2 or D1, it gets expensive on you. So I had to hang up the cleats and just got that itch and decided to reach out to some college buddies, and here I am coaching.
There you go. I think that's cool. Where'd you go to high school here?
I went to Lindbergh.
You went to Lindbergh. Okay. Okay. When did you graduate, bud?
2015.
2015. Okay. So I remember all that stuff. My son graduated in 16.
Okay.
So, and he played at Zumwalt East. So there's some era time and whatnot. And talk to me about what you see in overall perspective coming into this from where you're at, coming back into coaching and your perspective from being coached to coaching now, and your experience from growing up in club baseball to how you're applying that now.
I mean, it changed a lot. Even from my last 2 years of college, I feel like plyos and J-bands and all that were just becoming a thing. And now kids swear by
It's
it.
true.
Technology's in it. Everyone wants to use a Rapsodo or a hit tracks, and that part of it, it's all new for me. Mm-hmm. I'm still a little more on the back end of the older school techniques where it's just getting reps and going after.
Do you like? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Listening to your coaches and just using their knowledge to help grow your game, your skill set.
How much do you incorporate the technology into what you do?
Right now at the youth, not very much. We have a hit tracks machine over there for them to use, and that's more for games at the end of practice. We're not looking at my 6U team's exit velo right now. We rather make sure they're swinging, staying balanced, and landing the way you need to, and all that. At the high school, we do use a little more. All of our high school guys, they get 1 day a week or 2 days a week in the hit tracks, so they can get their numbers, they can get their exit velos, and they can get their spin rates and see what all they need to work on. And
absolutely, that's when it really matters, though, right?
Right.
At 6U, backspin, it's not really going to matter, right?
No. We'll put them on Busch Stadium's field at 6U and let them think they're hitting 400 feet home runs. So.
With a 112-foot fence, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's the way it should be. I like that approach. I think it's an interesting approach because not everybody does everything the same way. So when you're talking about kids coming into a program and you start that process and parents start asking questions about these things, how do you break that down for them?
About
technology, the use of technology and things, and how sometimes parents will say, we got to have this.
I think it just kind of it depends on the way they're asking. I mean, at the high school, we have it for you, so
Yeah, right.
it's
But at
easy. At
the
the
youth
youth,
side,
whenever they if they want extra time on it, we can get them extra time on it. But that's not our focus. We rather teach your kid the fundamentals at the youth age than worry about his exit velo. So that's kind of what I tell him. I mean,
there you go.
I'm going to teach your kid the proper way to swing the bat. I'm going to teach your kid the proper way to approach a ball. I'm going to teach your kid the proper way to play catch. And then once we get older, when he's ready for that, then we'll start breaking down the numbers.
Very good. I think that's a fair thing. Do you, because we have to talk with parents. That's part of it, right?
Yep.
It's their kid, right? So when it comes to those things, I think, you have to take your approach to what you do and be solid with it. That's what I believe. When we're talking about practice here today, how many times a week do the teams practice?
At the 6 and 7U, they're only practicing once. Now, once my 11U team, the other 11U team, and up, we'll practice twice a week coming up. For winter workouts, we just do one because this is a busy facility. We got a lot of teams coming through, a lot of different things going on. I don't know if you can see in the background, but we got a little shot put going on right now. So
shot put?
I think that's what they're doing.
Really?
They're doing
Olympic sports, baby. I love it. Some track and field going on.
But my 11U team in the summer or spring, I guess spring's almost here, right?
Yeah.
We'll practice Tuesday and Thursday.
Yes, it is. I don't care what Punxsutawney Phil said.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather it be now, not 6 weeks. So.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we had a nice day yesterday. Did you guys get out did you get outside at all with that?
I got outside with my kids, my personal kids, my 2 kids
Yeah.
at home, not my team or anything.
There you go.
I'm sure some of the teams might have tried to get out there, but my team personally, no.
Heck yeah, man! If you got it right. Get
Right.
out. It was 70 degrees.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That was crazy. That's baseball weather.
Yeah, it is. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Pitchers and catchers, how do you start that approach with these young kids? I know 6 and 7's a machine pitch. 9U, they start pitching and whatnot. What's the philosophy? What do you guys do as a program to start putting those kids in motion with pitching?
With pitching, it's just going back to what I've said 1,000 times is the basics. I mean, when they start throwing, they don't know how to bring that leg behind. They don't know how to follow through. They're just up there throwing. It's like they're playing catch from the mound. So we teach them the right things. We'll teach them the stretch. We'll teach them the wind up, just so then they're comfortable with it. If they're more comfortable with one, all right, that's fine. You can do the stretch in game. But at least now you do know how to do both. You know how to work on both and get better at both. So pitching wise, it's getting the reps under understanding where they need the most work.
Mm-hmm.
So I like whenever I work with my young pitchers, I'll pick out the major flaw.
Yeah.
I'll pick out the one major thing. I'll fix that, and then after I see that's fixed or improved, then we'll go if it's arm angle or not getting the arm back or short arming it. We'll work on that next, and if it's not landing balance and falling off the mound, we'll work on that next, and just slowly break it down just so they understand it. And I feel like sometimes you'll see where a coach will get with a young guy and all of a sudden he's just pouring everything out to him and trying to fix everything at once, and you just see on the kid's face like, what am I doing here? This is crazy, because pitching, it's a science. I mean, pitching's not easy. That's why. I mean, there's more pitchers than anything, but it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And catching, I feel at the younger age, our main thing is trying to work on blocking and keeping the ball in front of them. Because when you're at 10U, 11U, if you got a catcher that can't keep the ball in front of you, well, the kid gets on first base, he's most likely going to get home.
Yep.
So it's working on trying to keep the ball in front of them. I want to say you're going to see like the high school level blocking, but we teach them the right way to get in front of the ball, how to get over to both directions, how to slide, how to use those knee pads to your advantage, how to rip the mask off. So it's teaching them the basics, the right fundamentals to set them up for success.
Yeah.
going up.
You don't know, and not always are the kids going to be able to execute that in a game. I mean, but it's still the foundational pieces as they grow and continue to get better at something, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, catching, I think you have to have a special disposition, mental disposition to catch. I call it crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, catchers, man, they're a different breed. And to get behind the plate and have somebody throw at you really hard, even though you're wearing gear and foul tips and all the stuff that's going on, it's a tough gig.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you start? Is there a particular kid you start looking at for catching at the early ages?
At the early ages, I think most of us coaches, if we get a 6U team, we're like, hey, does anyone want to catch?
That's where it starts, right?
I mean, you got a hard time, I feel like, convincing kids to become a catcher.
Yeah.
They just kind of have to want to. But if I have to form a kid into a catcher that doesn't necessarily want to be, I'm going to look at that kid that is the least afraid of the ball.
Right.
Because if they're afraid of it back there, with the gear on, it's not going to translate. They're going to be ducking their head, turning their head, and then that's when they're going to get hurt. So you got to look for the kids that are a little fearless. Mm-hmm. Like we said,
I think that's a bet. Right. I know I say crazy, but it's just funny. But no, I think that is kind of a better way to put it. They are a little bit fearless about things, because it's a tough gig back there.
It is. They're a little fearless. They're a little tougher. And my catcher right now, he wrestles, he does football, he catches, he does all the tough sports. So I feel like he just has thick skin. I mean, so you got to find that fearless kid, the kid that's willing to get back there in a squat for 7 innings or however long, an hour 45, however long that game is, and can do it repetitively and help the team out, help your pitchers out.
And that's a tough thing at 9 years old, at 10 years old. Sometimes the gear don't fit very well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I see a lot. Sometimes you see, kind of waddle out there. Yeah. It's tough, man, because it's not like a middle school or high school age kid where the gear is not just kind of, but you see that 9-year-old kid that comes out and the chest deal is flopping. You tape that dude up, man. Yeah. And I think those are types of things that kind of get in the way. I know they have the youth sizes, but parents don't want to buy catcher's gear every year. And it gets expensive.
No, yeah.
So you want them to grow into it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
That's just me. That's cool, man. I like that. Now hitting, when you guys take to the hitting approaches and whatnot and philosophies and what you do with your youth program, where does hitting come into this?
So I won't lie, I passed the hitting off to some of the other guys that know hitting a little more. I was PO from.
Oh, there you go.
From 10th grade up, so hitting isn't my strength. I can teach the kids the right way to stand, and I can correct some of the minor issues. But when it comes,
to show them how to strike out, right?
Yeah, when it comes to strike out and how to strike someone out. Yeah. When it comes to hitting, I'll reach out to Baxter, who we'll see. I don't know if he's coming on later, but we'll see later, and he'll help me come up with some ideas. But with my team, it's a lot of tee work, a lot of front toss, just building confidence. I want them to see that ball coming off their bat. I don't want to be standing 40 feet away, throwing BP, and them swinging and missing every pitch. That's not going to do anything but deflate them. So I want them to get that confidence, make sure their feet are in the right spot, their hands are in the right spot. But as a philosophy, I go up to the guys.
Leave it to them, right? Well, that's Andrew up there. What's Andrew's last name?
Baxter or Keck?
Baxter. Or
we
is
got
it
2 Andrews. We got Andrew Keck, who he's kind of with the program. But
right. Andrew Keck does the AK-12,
yes,
right?
He does the AK-12.
Right.
He does hitting and catching over there.
And then Andrew Baxter.
He's the high school director.
Okay. Very good. So, hey, man, I appreciate you taking the time. We're looking forward to seeing what you guys got out here. And where are you rolling around at this summer? What tournaments you guys in?
We are doing a lot of GMB. We have a couple play 9, a couple game 7s.
Very good.
That's about it for the youth. High school's all over the board.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you out there,
We'll be
man.
going to the Game 7 down in Branson, the World Nationals. So.
Oh, very good.
Us, my 11U and the 14U teams will be down there.
That's
so.
always fun. Branson's a cool one.
That'll be
Ballparks
exciting.
of America, right?
I think I'm more excited than the kids are, so we'll see how it goes.
Hang out in Branson a while. Yeah, that's always fun. Hey, man, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We do appreciate it. And again, if you like what we do, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share it out. We appreciate it very much. And hopefully we'll have Mitch back next week. Till then, everybody, have a great day in the Lord. You got any advice for pitchers?
For pitchers, what's a good one?
He's got. I love it. There you go.
Yeah, throw strikes.
That's what I say. Throw a strike, baby. And that's what I say. That's kind of the way I end my shows. I say, all you pitchers, throw strikes, and hitters. You know what good advice is for a hitter? Hit them where they ain't. There you go. That's the old saying, right? We'll see y'all next time.